After a 104-day break, which saw the FIFA World Cup take center stage, domestic action return, the January transfer window take place and Real Madrid win their 100th major trophy, the Champions League is back. The knockout stages of Europe's premier club competition is among the most exciting in world football. The game's biggest stars locking horns over two fiercely contested legs to take a step closer to the final, this year due to take place at the Ataturk Olympic Stadium in Istanbul, Turkey. Defending champions Real Madrid are still in, while former England midfielder Scott Parker will get his first taste of the big time as a manager in charge of Club Brugge. And then there is incredibly tough assignments for Liverpool and Chelsea, both of which could do with a morale-boosting scalp of a European heavyweight amid a turgid Premier League campaign. Defending champions Real Madrid will be confident they can retain their crown this season. Struggling domestically, Jurgen Klopp, left, and Graham Potter, right, will hope Liverpool and Chelsea have a change in fortunes when it comes to the Champions League last 16 this week. 16 teams are left standing, 4 German, 4 English, 3 Italian, 2 Portuguese, 1 Spanish, 1 French and 1 Belgian. It's the Champions League. That's the competition we want to win, Chelsea loanee João Felix said this week, after scoring his first goal for the club. But the Blues know there are a number of tough tests to come between now and then, starting with Borussia Dortmund. The resurgence of the Bundesliga should serve as a warning to Felix and others, despite Eintracht Frankfurt, Bayern Munich and RB Leipzig fancied as second best in their matchups. With all that in mind, Sportsmail takes a closer look at all 8 ties and what you should be keeping an eye out for across the 2 legs. AC Milan vs Tottenham. 2 sides bang out of form, heading into the first half of their biggest game of the season so far. Bodes well, Tottenham were in dreamland after a 1-0 win over Manchester City, but after losing Rodrigo Bentancur to a season-ending ACL injury, and the 4-1 hammering at the hands of Leicester, a trepidation has returned in North London. Number 1 goalkeeper Hugo Lloris is out for 8 weeks, and a plan to coax Ben Foster out of retirement has been foiled, and Spurs head to Milan patched up as best they can. The only saving grace for Tottenham and their boss Antonio Conte is that AC Milan are bang out of form in what has been a bitterly disappointing campaign thus far, which has them 18 points off leaders Napoli. Injuries are piling up for Tottenham with Rodrigo Bentancur out for the rest of the season. AC Milan have won once in their last 6 games and are there for Spurs to get it in the first leg. Just 1 win from their last 6 games, they are ranked 16th in the Serie A form table. Shipping more than 2 goals a game in that stretch, Conte will hope Harry Kane, Son Heung-min and Dejan Kulusevski can feast at the San Siro. History is on Spurs' side here too. Milan have fallen at the last 16 hurdle in 5 of their last 6 Champions League appearances, and they haven't beaten Tottenham in any of their 4 meetings to date. It will be tight in both games, but expect Spurs to just do enough to squeeze through. Matches: AC Milan vs Tottenham, Tuesday, February 14, 8 p.m. GMT. Tottenham vs AC Milan, Wednesday, March 8, 8 p.m. GMT. Prediction: Tottenham to progress. PSG vs Bayern Munich. Champions of France against champions of Germany. These two have come to know each other pretty well. Not only is this a repeat of the 2019-20 Champions League final, which Bayern won 1-0 thanks to a Kingsley Coman goal, they also played each other twice in 2020-21, with PSG squeaking through on away goals. Losing Kylian Mbappé to injury against Montpellier on February 1 has really hurt Christophe Galtier's side, and alarm bells are ringing already after losing 4 of their 10 games in 2023. Much of PSG's fortune relies on Mbappé making a quicker than originally anticipated return to action. With doubts on Mbappé and Lionel Messi, it leaves Neymar up top with Hugo Ekitike, and that is a marked drop-off from having Mbappé. Training returns for Lionel Messi, left, and Kylian Mbappé, second right, is a big boost for PSG. Bayern Munich have started to find their scoring touch again after a rough start to the year. The Frenchman has already struck 25 goals, from 26 games, this season. He is one of only 4 players in Europe's top 5 leagues to have already surpassed 20 goals this season. Had this game been a couple of weeks earlier, confidence in Paris would have been significantly higher than that in Munich. And yet now the expectation is for the Germans to continue their free-scoring streak. Shaking off the 3-1 draws that followed the winter break, Bayern have found their shooting boots once more, hitting both Mainz and Wolfsburg for 4, before adding a 3-0 win over Bochum at the weekend. Plenty of star power on both sides, but should Mbappé be fit enough to play a key role across the 2 legs, do not bet against PSG getting 1 over Bayern, again. Matches: PSG vs Bayern Munich, Tuesday, February 14, 8 p.m. GMT. Bayern Munich vs PSG, Wednesday, March 8, 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Prediction: PSG to progress. Club Brugge vs BENFICAA. Penny for the thoughts of Karl Hofkens this week. Hofkens impressively led Club Brugge to the Champions League last 16 for the first time ever, but was then sacked. Some reward, that, in his place came Scott Parker, who will be experiencing Champions League football for the first time this week in what is a significant step up from his previous experiences at Fulham and Bournemouth. Portuguese opposition is nothing new in this campaign for Brugge's players, having twice faced Porto in the group stage. The Belgian side won 4-0 away but lost 4-0 at home, and so this really could go either way. Scott Parker will get a first experience of Champions League management up against Benfica. Benfica, who sit top of the Portuguese league, are unbeaten in their last 6 league games and are also 7 unbeaten in the Champions League. They go in as firm favourites. But whatever happens, this will be history for Parker as he is set to become the 3rd English manager to take charge of a non-English team in the UEFA Champions League. He joins the likes of Bobby Robson, FC Porto and PSV, and Gary Neville, Valencia, in taking charge of a non-English team in European competition. Parker will just hope he and his players are not embarrassed over 180 minutes. Matches: Club Brugge vs Benfica, Wednesday, February 15, 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Benfica vs Club Brugge, Tuesday, March 7, 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Prediction: Benfica to progress. Eintracht Frankfurt vs Napoleone. Of the toughest assignments in European football right now is taking on Napoli. So, sorry, Frankfurt. The Italians are cruising atop of Serie A, having won 86% of their matches and losing just once. In the group stage, Napoli topped Group A ahead of Liverpool, winning 5 of their 6 matches. It is no stretch to say Napoli are the best team in Europe's top 5 leagues right now, and the key for Frankfurt, Europa League winners last season, is to ensure the tie isn't over before they head to Italy for the second leg. Napoli's 20 goals scored was the most of any team in the group stage this season, and while history favors the Germans, Frankfurt have won both of their previous meetings with Napoli, in the UEFA Cup in 1994-95, and have lost just 2 of their 11 games against Italian opposition. It is hard to look past Napoli progressing with some ease over the 2 games. Napoli will boast the best 2 players on the pitch in Victor Osimhen and Khvicha Kvaratskhelia, and that should be the difference. Matches: Eintracht Frankfurt vs Napoli, Tuesday, February 21, 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Napoli vs Eintracht Frankfurt, Wednesday, March 15, 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Prediction: Napoli to progress. Napoli can rightly claim that they are the best team across Europe's top 5 leagues right now. Borussia Dortmund vs Chelsea. This is incredibly close to call, but with the Westfalenstadion one of the best atmospheres in European football, Dortmund will believe they can get the edge over the Blues. Despite struggling domestically, and that continued in a draw at West Ham, boss Graham Potter is unbeaten so far in the Champions League. He will hope European competition brings some solace to a group of players that are facing the very real possibility of having no European football whatsoever next season. Dortmund are top of the form chart over the last 6 games, and given Chelsea have only managed 3 wins from 11 previous away games against German sides, the hosts may well be favoured. Chelsea have spent an eye-watering amount of money, but things haven't clicked, and while Potter looks to find the right formula for his new recruits, Borussia Dortmund, led by England superstar Jude Bellingham, will be ready to pounce. If Potter, who actually studied for his UEFA Pro license in 2018 alongside current Dortmund boss Edin Terzic, is looking for a sign from history, 3 of Dortmund's 4 home defeats in the Champions League, from their last 21 home games, came against English opposition. From study buddies to rivals in the dugouts, this is the match-up for young talent to take center stage, and the light may prove to be too bright for a Chelsea side still finding their way under Potter. Matches: Borussia Dortmund vs Chelsea, Wednesday, February 15, 8 p.m. GMT. Chelsea vs Borussia Dortmund, Tuesday, March 7, 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Prediction: Borussia Dortmund to progress. Borussia Dortmund's young stars will have no fear when coming up against struggling Chelsea. Liverpool vs Real Madrid, 2 absolute titans of the European game. Defending champions Real Madrid head to Anfield to face Liverpool for the first since beating them in last season's final in Paris, where they ran out 1-0 winners. Carlo Ancelotti's side head to Anfield buoyed by their Club World Cup success, taking them to 100 titles in their history. Liverpool, it felt like, were at the peaks of their powers at the end of last season, finding themselves a handful of wins away from a famous quadruple. Now they are a side in disarray with serious questions being leveled on performance on and off the pitch, despite the Reds improving matters with a 2-0 win in the Merseyside derby on Monday. This is Liverpool at Anfield in the Champions League though, and form thus feels somewhat irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. The added layer that comes with a European night under the lights at Anfield is a task for any team, even one as good as Real Madrid. Real Madrid head to Anfield having sealed the Club World Cup title against Al Hilal last week. The first leg will be their 10th meeting in the Champions League, and it was quite telling that Ancelotti said last season he found Liverpool easier to decipher than some other teams en route to their latest European Cup win. And parking the stature of Real Madrid for a second, perhaps Ancelotti does have the Reds' number. After all, he did win his most recent trip to Anfield, in a 2-0 triumph as Everton boss in February 2021. Matches: Liverpool vs Real Madrid, Tuesday, February 21st, 8 p.m. GMT. Real Madrid vs Liverpool, Wednesday, March 15th, 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Prediction: Real Madrid to progress. RB Leipzig vs Man City, the one that continually seems to get away from Manchester City. Winning the Champions League feels like the only thing Guardiola has left to tick off at the Etihad Stadium, but this first leg arrives on the back of allegations from the Premier League of more than 100 financial rule breaches. While City fight that, they will be able to take some solace in the Champions League. Guardiola will hope their previous trip to Leipzig, a 2-1 defeat in 2021, serves as a warning of the danger the Germans can pose if underestimated. City will still be heavily favored, and with good reason, given they could go with a front six of Kevin De Bruyne, Rodri, Ilkay Gundogan, Riyad Mahrez, Erling Haaland and Jack Grealish. One thing viewers of this one should expect is goals. The Champions League crown is the one gap on Pep Guardiola's resume with Manchester City. In their last two meetings, these sides have served up 12 goals, helped, admittedly, by the chaotic 6-3 home win by Man City. While the injury status of Erling Haaland remains hazy after he was taken off at half-time against Aston Villa, his return to training gives City hopes of a return. Leipzig, though, will be hoping he needs some time on the sidelines. The Norwegian has been a pain in their side in recent years, averaging a goal every 60 minutes from 4 appearances against them. His 6 goals in 4 games against Leipzig arrived with 3 braces while at Borussia Dortmund. A fit Haaland and City could run riot over these 2 games. Matches: RB Leipzig vs Man City, Wednesday, February 22nd, 8 p.m. GMT. Man City vs RB Leipzig, Tuesday, March 14th, 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Prediction: Man City to progress. Inter vs Porto. Safe to say Simone Inzaghi and Sergio Conceição will not need any introductions. The pair were teammates at Lazio during their playing days, but now will go head-to-head for a spot in the Champions League quarter-finals. One of the biggest problems this season for Inter has been finding any sort of consistency. It feels like one great performance is followed by 2 bad, and it's hard to generate momentum playing that sort of football. Inter will go in as favourites, but Porto can take heart from the fact they have slayed 2 other Serie A sides at this stage in previous seasons. Roma got the boot in 2018-19, while Juventus were humbled in their own backyard in 2020-21. Not since 2011 have Inter reached the Champions League quarter-finals, but they know this is a real opportunity. Get the best out of Lautaro Martinez and they'll thrive, but follow in the footsteps of Roma and Juventus in taking Porto lightly, and another Italian job is on the cards. Matches: Inter vs Porto, Wednesday, February 22nd, 8 p.m. GMT. Porto vs Inter, Tuesday, March 14th, 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Prediction: Porto to progress. Getting the best out of Lautaro Martinez will be the key for Inter when taking on FC Porto.